a South African delegation to the African Union's 11th Extraordinary Summit starting today. Well, the summit is expected to discuss measures how to reform the African Union and make it more efficient by adopting fewer priorities.
Ministers are streamlining ideas that will guide heads of state in their deliberations on how to reform the African Union and make it stronger. On the agenda for the heads of state, the structure of the AU Commission. Reforms spearheaded by Rwanda suggest reducing the 8 AU commissions which tackle issues including politics, economics and social affairs down to 6. The commissions for political affairs and peace and security may be merged, with a view to make the AU Commission leaner and less expensive.
Strong accountability and performance systems are essential. Proposals for performance-based measures will have to be strengthened for the senior leadership and institutionalized across the entire organization, with adequate measures in place to address non-delivery.
The AU is working towards funding 100% of the Union's operational budget by 2021. 75% will be funding for the continent's program budget, while 25% for peace support operations. The AU Commission leadership says commitment should begin being reflected by member states honoring their annual membership.
We can and must make progress concerning sanctions against countries that do not pay up their financial contributions. The objective is to put an end definitively to the chronic delay in the payment of their statutory contributions.
On the agenda will also be a call for more countries to implement a 0.2% levy on imports of their choice, and the proceeds be given to the African Union to support self-financing. So far, 23 out of the 55 African countries are implementing it. President Cyril Ramaphosa arrives in Ethiopia on Saturday to lead the South African delegation to the AU summit on 17th and 18th. He will also have side meetings with some of his fellow heads of state. Coletta Wanjohi, SABC News in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
And our correspondent Coletta Wanjohi joins us now from Addis Ababa. Very good evening to you, Coletta. Well, you witnessed President Ramaphosa arrive in Addis a little bit earlier on today. Well, here at home, of course, I'm sure you've heard he faces a scandal over a R500,000 rand donation to his ANC candidacy campaign. Just, did you look concerned at all when you saw him a bit earlier on today?
Well, President Ramaphosa arrived at around 5 o'clock South African time, and he came with a small delegation in his plane, and he looked okay. He looked calm, he looked composed. He was received by the ambassador here and other officials from the embassy, and he looked okay. He was chatting with them, sat with them at the VIP lounge, and just had normal chat. There was nothing that showed whether he was a bit nervous or guilt feelings and all that. No, he looked very normal. And much later, when he joined other heads of state at the AU summit here in at the African Union headquarters where we are now, he was laughing. I mean, if you look at the pictures that we took, probably have that. He was laughing and smiling and chatting with his fellow heads of state. So he was in a normal mood, and I don't think that issue really was raised by any head of state or anyone in the corridors here at the AU. So he was really normal and very composed.
Well, Coletta, you're saying, of course, it didn't show, but let's go back to the reasons why he is there. One of the issues topping the agenda, of course, is the reform of the African Union. How much are we expecting that to take center stage when you see these leaders coming together?
Well, it's already day one of the African Union Summit. We had leaders meeting from early morning, from 9 o'clock until now. They've just finished right now, and we've seen progress from what they're talking. They're talking about progress because today they had about 3 main agenda, and one of it was talking about how to restructure the African Union Commission Secretariat, how to elect the commissioners and the chairperson of the commission, whether it should be the current situation whereby countries have to lobby for their people to be part of this commission. themselves, or whether the chairperson should be elected and he gets to appoint other commissioners. They also talked about the mandate of the regional economic mechanisms, which would be like SADC, East African Community, ECOWAS, and all that. What should be their role? Where should their role begin and where should their role end? So that the regional economic blocks do not do what the continent at the AU level should be doing. So that was some of the things they talked about. And also to crown the whole day, they have just launched the African Union Peace Fund, which is vital. It is very vital because it makes sure that it will ensure that if the African countries contribute to this.
Sorry, Coletta, I just want to get through to something else just before we let you go. Of course, one of the other key issues is the financing of the continent, which will take centre stage in these talks as well. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yes, there was just an emphasis, and it's going to be there today and tomorrow when they meet, an emphasis for more countries. So far, we have 24 countries that have so far given in the 0.2% levy from imports, and that money should come to the African Union to finance the AU. But we still have more because we have 55 countries, so we still have more to go. And the African Union is saying it's about the spirit. It's about having 100% fully funded budget for the African Union. Currently, we have about 72% from the donors and only 30% or so from the member states. So they are saying we need to walk the talk if the African Union is going to speak with one voice and proudly at the global scene. So it is an emphasis. Already progress is happening, but they say more needs to be done for Africa to reach that fully fledged level where it can speak and say we are independent wholly.
Well, thank you very much to our correspondent Coletta Wanjohi, who is, of course, at the 11th extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. Hopefully, she'll be able to get a soundbite for us from President Ramaphosa on the debacles here at home. But, of course, you can view any of our interviews and features by going to sabcnews.com. You can also find us on Facebook as well as on Twitter. Let's take a short break.